Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Wine's World. Wasn't quite sure I was actually going to do a video today, but the thing is that my publishing and general writing are sort of at a crossroads right now. One of my books has been put to bed. It's going to go to the printer. It's going to be available in April. And the other two that are under contract right now are just kind of dawdling along because the editors are not fully with it. So my fourth book, which is in proposal form now with a major publisher, and the reviews are going to come back as to whether we can get a contract or not by May, I think. So we're working on writing it. I've got a co-author that's working with me, except that she's not doing a whole lot right now. I've written about 63,000 words of a 100,000 word book, and she's written maybe 5,000 at the outside, and isn't really working on it. It's no blame, no fault. She's got a family. She's the editor of a journal. She's teaching. She teaches 5 courses a semester. So she doesn't have the time like a retired old git like me does. Although I will be teaching at the beginning. The end of this week, the beginning of the semester. And so my general theme is the month of March. March begins today, Tuesday, 1st of March. If you're English, you should get up in the morning on this morning and say rabbits, 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 or sometimes rabbits, rabbits, white rabbits. And then the month will be fine. Well, March is a particularly important month for me because it's my birthday month, and this will be the 3rd birthday in a row when I have been more or less isolated for my birthday because of the pandemic. So not a happy camper on that score, but I'm going to talk about how I prepare for my birthday and what the month of March means for me in general. The month of March is said to come in like a lion and go out like a lamb. Well, that's perhaps true in certain parts of the northern hemisphere. Where I live on the equator, it's not true at all. It comes in the same way it goes out. It starts off at 32 degrees centigrade, it ends at 32 degrees centigrade. Sun comes up at 6 o'clock, it goes down at 6 o'clock. It's all the same. But the month of March is special to me because it's my birthday month. And that's really what I want to focus on. I want to focus on my recipes for my birthday. So let's get started on all of that. Now I'm going to start here with one of my favorite cookbooks, The Great Dishes of the World by Robert Carrier. And I've had a copy of it since I was about 20 years old, I think. So that would be roughly the beginning of the 1970s. My sister gave me a paperback copy of it because at that time I was just starting to think about cooking, and every birthday I would buy something new for my kitchen. Around this time, I bought myself a casserole. Now that may seem awfully lame for a birthday just to buy it. But at the time I had no equipment, and that casserole served me, I don't know, for about 40 years. I took it all over the world with me. It was great. And my sister bought me a paperback copy of Great Dishes of the World, which I used so much, and it traveled so much with me all the way even to Buenos Aires, but it fell apart because it was paperback. Eventually my sister took pity on me, and she sent me her original copy, this one, from the, I think, certainly mid-60s at the latest. And it's a real treasure because all the pages that she used really often are covered in gravy and other bits of culinary stuff. And it was an important book for me for several reasons. One of them was that he talked about what you need to always have on hand. Well, at the time I was a student at Oxford. I didn't have any money. I had a kitchen, but I couldn't really cook very well, and so I didn't know how to stock my cabinets with sauces and staples and so forth. Now I do, and that's part of what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm always on the lookout for new things to put in my recipes, and I was in the supermarket the other day and I saw these in a not with the fruits and vegetables and spices and stuff, in a rack that was more like health drinks, but they looked like they were ingredients for recipes. So I bought them. Didn't know what they were. They looked like they might be like the one on the left looked like it might be what we call fingerfoot, and I thought, well, you know, maybe it's an extract of that. And the one on the right has green leaves, you know, so it could be anything. But the entire label of both, and back and front, was in Thai, and I don't read Thai. I can kind of make it out because it's not completely unlike Khmer. They both are based on the same alphabet ultimately, but I couldn't make a lot of sense with them. But I got them home, and I was able to look up the words in a Thai dictionary, and I discovered that the one on the right is ginkgo. All right, well, ginkgo is mostly used in medicine, and in Asia it's used in Chinese medicine. I don't really know what it tastes like, and I'm not really sure I want to open it up and find out. And the one on the right is called cordyceps, and it's a fungus that's made by caterpillars. And it's also a medicinal, so I also don't know what it tastes like. So am I going to open them up and drop them in my master stock? Probably not. In fact, there's a certain dangers or potential side effects from them as medicines. So I'm not sure, but I'll do something with them. Anyway, that's my latest wheeze. Let me now turn to what I've been doing regularly for the past 3 or 4 years. All right, so here you can see the right-hand burner of my stove, and right beside it I keep some olive oil. Now this is just pumice olive oil. I don't use extra virgin olive oil for frying, but I do often use olive oil. I also use peanut oil sometimes, but olive oil is more common. And in front of that is a flavored Chinese rice wine, which I also use in my cooking. Sambal ulek, which is basically pickled red peppers. The beef stock that is used to make Vietnamese pho which I use as a sort of general stock. Shrimp paste, called belacan in Indonesia, horseradish, which I happened to find by accident. I hadn't been using horseradish for years and years and found it in a supermarket in the center of town. And then a giant tomato paste bottle, which I just found. When I open it, then I'll refrigerate it. But for right now, it's beside my stove. Now let's go up here to my spice rack. And I'll just take you through a little bit of it. See, I've got the habanero version of Tabasco, very, very hot, as well as Tapatio, which is a Mexican hot sauce. And behind that, there is an oyster sauce that is vegetarian. So it's not made with oysters, it's made with shiitake mushrooms. Some capers, which I use for sometimes for salads, sometimes for pasta. Tonkatsu sauce, which is a dipping sauce for certain kinds of Japanese dishes. HP sauce. HP stands for Houses of Parliament, and Lee and Perrins, the Worcestershire sauce. Both of them are very important in my beef dishes when I'm making English beef dishes. And then next to it, this is a real prize. I discovered this in a Japanese market a couple of weeks ago. Oyster sauce is now made from oyster extract, and this is made from oysters. It's the old recipe of boiling down oysters until you get a thick sauce and then bottling it. And then some garlic sauce, some hoisin sauce, Maggi seasoning, which I don't really know how to explain this, but it's used in many cuisines around the world, particularly in Africa. And it's kind of like beef stock, I guess, but it's got certain kinds of seasonings in it. Then I've got 3 or 4 different kinds of soy sauce: dark soy sauce, light soy sauce. Behind there in the tall bottle is mushroom soy sauce. And then I have a regular oyster sauce, a fresh bottle of mushroom oyster sauce, A1 steak sauce, black pepper sauce from Compote, which is the source of Cambodian black pepper, rice wine, and right in the corner here, some bottles of port and brandy, which I use for seasoning cakes and puddings and so forth, which is my next topic. Now, you may remember back at Christmas time that I made several Christmas puddings, I made Christmas cake and so forth, and I always marinate down my Christmas puddings for a year in brandy, and you can see them here. I took them out the other day because I bought some brandy, and I was figuring that they're probably getting a bit dry because it's now the beginning of March and I haven't done anything with them since the end of December. They were all right, but I figured I'd add a little more anyway, and most especially I wanted to add brandy to this, the half of the Christmas cake that I was going to make a 12th cake out of for Epiphany and just couldn't stomach it. I had eaten so much, I was getting so fat that I just said, oh no, I'll save it for a birthday cake. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm marinating it in brandy now. I'm going to keep doing it and for another 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then I'm going to let it dry out, or not dry out, I'm going to let the surface brandy dry off, and I'm going to cover it in a marzipan layer and then royal icing, just like a Christmas cake or a wedding cake. Not usual for a birthday cake, but I happen to like this kind of cake, and I don't want to keep the cake for another year. So I'm going to do that. So later, like a week or two from now, I'll start that process and I'll show you how it's done. But for now, I would like you to like and subscribe my channel, and have a good week, and I will see you on Friday